Hello, my name is Navid Najafi. I'm the Learning Programs Coordinator here at the Shangri Museum of Islamic Art, Culture, and Design.
Aloha, I'm Leslee Michelsen, the Curator of Collections and Exhibitions here at Shangri.
So today we're talking about glass, and we have a very good glass collection at the Shangri. I'm relatively new here, and I wanted to know more about some of our collection pieces. And so Leslee asked me to pick a few out, and these spoke to me on many levels. I'm originally from Iran, and drinking tea and tea ceremonies are very important in my culture, and I immediately recognized these as potentially, I'm not sure, but for tea. Am I correct?
Absolutely. So that's a really great guess. Yeah, well done.
Right on.
Yeah. So they're basically holders for tea glasses. So we call them beakers, and you can drink directly out of them if you want to. You can drink water or tea right out of that, but most commonly you would actually have an insert that would go in, and this would actually be some clear glass cylinder that would hold the tea or liquid, and then this would be the decorative holder.
Right, beautiful. Yeah, a part of a tea ceremony is being able to see the color of the tea is very important. So I could see how there would be a clear glass, and then this would be the ornamentation kind of housing it. So can you tell me a little bit about where these are from?
Yeah, very interestingly, they're probably from Russia.
Wow.
We assume that these were probably used in Iran and probably made for the Iranian market in the Qajar period, so late 18th to 19th centuries. Obviously, the Qajar period, as you know, goes into the 20th century, but these are 19th century objects. They were made for most probably the Iranian market, but made in Russia.
Wow, amazing. Can you tell me a little bit about the material?
Yeah, which is actually fascinating. So this is glass set into metal, right? And it's just a composite. It's mostly nickel, a bit of silver. It's a silver alloy, kind of. We call it coin silver. You can see clearly that is glass. It almost has like a stained glass effect.
Right.
But the shape and the design on which these are based, Russian examples would actually be enameled. So they would be enameled metal. Right. And those are quite common. The shape, the size, and enameled metal, you find that very commonly in Russia. So the fact that it's glass is really a little bit unusual. And I don't know if that's a nod, although I assume it's a nod to the local demand for this material in Iran. Right. So to me, it's probably a nod to the Iranian market. Wow. The enameled metal is going to sell in Russia, but this is clearly what the demand was from the Qajars.
Wow. Yeah, fascinating supply and demand and how markets work and how trade works and how a culture might create something for markets and other cultures and intentionally creating a design that they know would appeal to that market. That's fascinating. And these are beautiful, and they did remind me of stained glass. Yeah. The colors are amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll hold it up to the light there and rotate it a bit so you can see the light passing through the object, and also how that really changes. Yeah. When it's down and it's much more opaque, and when you hold it up and you turn it, right? So it's something you can imagine really enjoying as a user of these objects. Maybe you're waiting for your tea to be refilled, so the cylinder's taken out and somebody's filling it. In the meantime, you get to enjoy this before it gets put back in.
Wow. What type of use would these have? Would they be used by royalty? Would they be used by common folks? What's your guess on that?
That's always a great question. I always love to think about how things are actually used. I would think, look, these are really lovely objects, but they're not gold, they're not silver, they're not inlaid with precious stones. There's no portraiture. Some of the really refined beakers have incredible portraits, right? So I would say this is probably for what we'd call haute bourgeoisie, so middle class, upper middle class people, but let me tell you, the people filling the tea glasses are probably working in the house, right? They're probably not the family. The person who owns these is probably also sitting and admiring the glass with the honored guest while a servant prepares the tea.
So are these the only two pieces from this particular set that we have in our collection?
That we have here, yes.
And how did these come into our collection? Do you know?
I actually don't know. And the interesting thing is we actually have really good records about how things entered our collection usually. And that's usually because Doris bought at auction. She bought directly from dealers, or she commissioned things from makers. These, we don't know. And that to me tells me that she probably picked them up in a shop somewhere, because we don't have receipts for quote unquote lower value items like some of the textiles that she purchased, and smaller lots such as this, which also indicate, we're talking about markets, right? I mean, the market for antiquities changes all the time.
Right.
And certainly things from the Qajar period, they were not trendy
Right.
at all until very recently. But Doris was buying stuff from the Qajar period from the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. And the Qajar period just ended in 1925, right?
Right.
So I suspect that she probably picked these up in person, maybe on one of her trips to Iran.
Wow. So pretty common pieces at the time.
Well,
where you would see a lot of this, or
I don't know, and that's a really good question. I mean, I'm much more familiar with the enameled metal beakers.
right.
In glass, this is a little bit more unusual, and I've done a little bit of research on these objects, and I can't see a whole lot of direct parallels.
Wow.
Right? We have beakers of the same size and the same period, but not the same decoration. And we have beakers with this decoration, but in a different material. So if anybody knows any more information, we'd be really, really delighted to hear from you.
So we have a pretty unique couple of pieces here in our collection.
Definitely.
Right on. Thank you. I learned a lot about these.
Sure.
And I appreciate your time.
Sure. My pleasure. Thanks.